Good morning everyone, this is Alex Tesh and today we will be talking how to run a continuous delivery pipeline in Docker Enterprise. We are going to have quite a number of components for this demo and the very first one is going to be GitLab Community Edition. GitLab Community Edition, which is going to be running as a container inside our Docker Enterprise, is going to hold the repository with our Jenkins file, Docker file, and also the application code that we want to push into the pipeline. Upon a code commit, GitLab is going to trigger Jenkins, the pipeline project, and then Jenkins, which is also a container, in this case a DID container, Docker inside Docker, is going to build a Docker image based on the Docker file. That's why we need a Docker inside Docker image. Okay, so once we have this image built, Jenkins is going to sign it, the Jenkins container, based on a notary client that we have pre-configured inside the container. And then it's going to push the image inside our Docker trusted registry. The last step in the pipeline is for Jenkins to instruct our Docker Swarm to run the service. So the Swarm is going to be grabbing the trusted image from DTR and then it's going to run the service based on HTTP routing mesh. Let's quickly take a look at the environment. So from here we can see that we have our universal control plane console, and at the moment we only have the Jenkins server up and running. So obviously we are going to need our GitLab as well. So what I will do is just let me quickly run this script, which is instructing the Swarm to start GitLab as a service. Both Jenkins and GitLab are backed from persistent storage coming from NetApp. So if we can see here from the definitions, we can see that we have quite a number of volumes that are holding the data already. Let's just give it a few seconds until the service starts, and once this is done we should be able to proceed committing the code and checking that the repository is in place and everything. Let me just quickly walk you through our Jenkins, which is already up and running. So what we can see from here is the pipeline that Jenkins will be running. So during my next code commit, we should be able to see live that Jenkins is going to build the image from the Docker file. It's going to be able to log in into my Docker trusted registry. It should be able to push a signed image inside the registry, and lastly is going to instruct our Docker Swarm to run the service based on HRM. Okay, let's see how is our GitLab going. I think it's still trying to come up. Let's quickly take a look at the registry then. So we have our Docker trusted registry here, and from here we can see that actually my last test was done a few minutes ago. I think actually about 16 minutes ago. Once we commit the code and Jenkins push the signed image into DTR, we should be able to see a new tag attached to the image, which is pretty much coming from the git commit. Okay, let's take a look at how GitLab is doing. Still coming up. Okay, I want to mention as well that all the files that I am using for the demo are available in my GitHub repo. If you go to my GitHub repo, GATesh, you should be able to see that the Docker file, Jenkins file, and the index are here. We also have some Ansible playbooks to make sure that your workers are configured in a consistent fashion. And if you want all the step-by-step definitions of how to run this demo and the code as well, you can basically go to this website, tesh.im, and there you will be able to find all the steps to be able to run the pipeline delivery. Okay, hopefully this is running already. So what I will do is let me just quickly open another tab, and if the routing mesh is working, I should be able to log in into my repository. And as I mentioned before, since we are using volumes for the containers, the data is persistent. So I should be able to see that all my files are here. So this means that if this container dies in the future or the worker running the service dies, I just need to spawn, or rather the service is going to respawn this container somewhere else, and all the data which is coming from the volumes will be persistent. Okay. Um, we also have this question very often: how reliable is DTR? So DTR is as reliable as the backend, obviously. So if we take a look at the settings and the storage, in this particular case, we can see that I am using OpenStack Swift object storage as the backend. And it's pretty straightforward to configure it. Okay, we just need to define the authorization URL, username, password, and the container, which should be pre-created in advance in our OpenStack Swift. But the catch is that you also have to define the tenant name and the region inside the advanced settings. If you don't do this portion, it's not going to work. So it's important to take note. Okay, so I think that lastly, what I want to do is just trigger a code commit from here. Let me just go to my demo in my client, and I am going to edit this index file. Let me just put some exclamation marks at the end. Let's have the files. Let's quickly do a commit, and let's push the changes into our GitLab. And once we push the changes, Jenkins usually checks every 5 minutes the way that we have it configured. So I am not really going to wait for this. What I will do is I am going to build the environment now, triggering a manual build. So we should be able to see all the steps, hopefully green: building the Docker image, logging into DTR, pushing the sign image into DTR, and lastly deploying into the swarm. Let's take a look at the universal control plane. We have a Gink service which is up and running really quickly. Let's take a look at our trusted registry once more. Repositories, let's go to GitLab demo, and we should see that our latest image was pushed just a few seconds ago. There is a new tag which is coming from the git commit. And last but not least, let's just make sure that we can reach our service through the URL that we define in using HRM. And everything should be up and running. Thank you for watching.